Blood and Briar, Chapter 10, Weeds. George Grass eased into the driveway. He held his double chin up high, a twinge of admiration for how trim and clean the front lawn was, the pruned trees swaying in the summer breeze with just the right snap, the level surface of the driveway smooth under the tires of his medium-duty Chevy. A lot of work was put into this place. Is that why the number is so high? The young man patted the folded paper in his shirt pocket. Something like that. You should have seen the place. I think one of the guys in town has a bunch of photos of the mess. George picked a place to park. Maybe online. Don't do much of that internet stuff myself. Well, entertain me with a recount of it. I'm having difficulty wrapping my mind around the huge checks that have to be signed for all of this. He pulled a letter out, but didn't unfold it. I'm trying to rationalize it all. George stared at the young man for a moment after he drove the truck up to the house, relaxing in the fine leather seat, leaving the truck idle to keep the air conditioning going. His cell phone buzzed in the door pocket. George read the text as he gripped the disruptive little device. He looked over at the young man, then back at the phone. Derek? That's your name? Do I look like a Derek? George chuckled, sliding the phone in his shirt pocket, just as a farmer or mechanic stuck a spiral pocket notebook and pen. I am too polite to tell you what I think you look like. I'm touched. In the head, no doubt. So, what's your legal deal with this place again? The young man looked out the back window, a short survey of the yards surrounding the house. There were remnants of a barn and some silos, just the remains of their concrete foundations that left bare spots in the grass. What do you mean? Why are you here signing checks? I knew someone who was with the lawyer talking about what the old man left behind. Call me ignorant, because I don't know any of the big fancy words the lawyer used, but the old man's will was read out loud and no one mentioned you. There were a lot of people not mentioned in the will, and a lot of people called their lawyers over it. So this means you know my name. Didn't say that. Not at all. George patted his shirt pocket. Just what I'm told. The young man jammed the paper back into his shirt pocket. What's it to you? I'm just curious, guy. That's it. George put the truck into park. You seem to have a finger on the local gossip. I'm certain you've heard enough already that you don't need to hear it from me. The fellow regarded the old Buick and the few lawn tools leaned on the side of a green Ford truck parked near the side of an old brick milk house. The milk house was one of the few complete structures left on the property. What do you mean, gossip? You know exactly what I mean. I'm sure I don't, and I don't appreciate the liberty you're taking with your tone here. I've never grown up in any kind of place like this, but I'm certain people blab to each other no matter where they are, regardless if it's true. George huffed, shaking his head in disbelief. We're not liars. Gossip is only 3/10 a lie. If I wanted to call you a liar, that's the word I would have used. George still shook his head as he looked the young man over. Where was this moxie when I picked your sorry ass up at the bus stop, mumbling and acting like some bashful 5-year-old stray each time I tried to ask you a straightforward question? Christ's sake, still can pick them. And always at my expense. Bet he don't have to put up with half the shit I have to for his benefit. George looked over the hood of his truck. Liar. That's rich. That's what the lawyer called all of us. Rude bastard. Typical city bastard. It took a ton to keep me from kicking his ass right out of town. But regardless what he did say, he said nothing about you. Take that up with the lawyer. I take it up with you because you're here. Who the hell are you? Not just what Dillard says, but for real. Just what the gossip said. George shut the truck off. To be honest, all I've heard was that someone was put as sole executor to the property and fixed assets. You mean an heir? Whatever. The lawyer didn't say who, but didn't mention anyone else but family. Yours sure aren't family. All the money and equipment the old man had was doled out or auctioned off to cover some expenses. Where did the rest go? Who knows? Not to his direct family. Was it a big family? Yeah. There were 4 sons and 2 daughters. We're pretty pissed about getting screwed out of not having anything to do with the property. Some people made some plans that they have to change because they weren't told ahead of time. I didn't make those plans for them. Didn't say you did. Not really fair, though, is it? To stake something on no kind of guarantee? That's not my responsibility, to be fair. That's selfish. What's selfish? Any less selfish than demanding the rights to someone else's stuff? I doubt all the extended family has your attitude. The ones still living do. But I'm not going to argue that. I just want to know your name. I think you already know it. The two walked to the house. George followed close by. All the latent rage and frustration caused him to clench his fists, an impulse to bonk the young man on the head subsiding only after realizing the consequences of such an act. He stared at the back of the young man's head nonetheless. It was there he noticed the peculiar pattern under the young man's hair, what appeared as a maze of thin scars across his scalp. The scars could mean anything, and George let it go. Obviously, the young man had caused others to bonk him on the head already, probably for good reason. George handed the keys over as they reached the screen door into the short porch. Here are the keys I was given when I started working on the place. He dangled them out for a moment, teasing. Just like to have some acknowledgement for all my hard work. And a reward? I didn't say that, not at all. But you're leading up to it.